engaging in any way in such international cooperations, and also, through our Green Voyage project that we are already working in India, and also the idea, we would be very happy to connect the Center of Excellence that we established to the IMO centers that we established in various parts of the world. Let that network happen, and let India be part of the global network through such centers. And having said all this, there's something that we should not forget is the need for just transition in this voyage. We should not forget that it is ultimately our seafarers who have to be directly involved in managing these issues as well as the end point. We may have all the beautiful technologies, ammonia, methane, hydrogen, but if you don't have the trained seafarers at that time, we will be in trouble. And hence a big tribute to all the young cadets I've been seeing all around here, their interest and their excitement. And I think we should encourage and we should keep that in mind in preparing them for the new era of green shipping. What finally comes to my mind is the two simple words that the governor and the minister mentioned. The governor said, when there is an issue, there will be a solution, and necessity is the mother of innovations. And I think these are very, very applicable here. Very simple things, but very meaningful for our efforts. And the minister then added on to that later on that we need to bring everybody on board for India to become a leader in this area. And that's, again, a simple message, but very, very powerful thing. Finally, I would like to congratulate the Government of India, the DG Shipping, and the Institute of Marine Engineers for putting up such a fantastic show and such an engaging dialogue. And I was extremely pleased from my IMO side this is happening in India. And as I said, we have been here in India through a Green Voyage project that you heard about from my colleagues, but sincerely wish to thank DG Shipping, especially Mr. Amitabh Kumar and Ajit and Mr. Vikram for all their championing efforts to make sure Green Voyage project India has taken off very well and has forwarded. In fact, let's congratulate them for making this actually the most advanced stage of all the countries that we engage with in the world, that India is leading in there. So thank you, sir. That's a great progress that you've made. And finally, IMO, from IMO's side, we stand ready to support. We stand ready any way we can to support this India's efforts. So please do let us know. And finally, the last word is actually to all of you in this room. You are the real champions. You are the people who can make decisions. You are the people who can bring solutions. So the Green Voyage of India is going to be an effort by you as the champions of this voyage. So I thank you from all my heart for being here for the 3 days and engaging in this and having open dialogue among all and sharing your experience among others. And this is what we need everywhere in this world. So thank you to the champions in this room who is going to take the Green Voyage ahead. And that's all I need to say. Thank you very much. Very happy to be here. Thank you.
Many thanks, Dr. Jose. Indeed, wonderful summarization and valuable suggestions for taking this forward. Indeed, grateful, sir, for your support and agreeing to be part of this event and sharing your thoughts and connect with IMO with the way this would be taken forward. I now request our respected Director General of Shipping, Sri Amitabh Kumar, IRS, to say a few words on this occasion. Sir, we know that you had to speak at several occasions during the past 3 days. Hence, we would request you to speak while seated, if it's okay.
Dignitaries sitting on the dais, my friends. It's very difficult to come to the dais for the 5th time in 3 days' time and still try and find something new to say. I would first like to congratulate INMARCO team for putting this, for organizing this beautiful conference. I was a little worried that at the end of the third day, we will see some very tired faces, but we still have people sitting and listening to others. That shows how interesting this entire 3 days journey has been. It served the purpose that we had set this conclave and the conference to achieve. We had said that this conference should not be a mere, meet and greet event, but it should have some serious deliberations resulting in inputs for policy making for the years to come. And the kind of deliberations we have seen has really been encouraging, and as Joe's mentioned, we did start with a little gloomy outlook, but at the end, there appears to be a light at the end of the tunnel. When we are very inward looking and we try to find all solutions within our own limited resources, we end up having a problem, because no matter how wise we are, how well educated we are, how experienced we are, it is impossible to find solution to every problem within the limited resources that we have. And that is why from day one, there has been a realization that when a problem like this stares at our face, we have no choice but to look outwards, collaborate, discuss, look at solutions being found elsewhere, and see whether those solutions can be incorporated in our system or not. I am glad that we invited people from hydrogen mission, solar mission, methane. We discussed issues with the energy suppliers, and just imagine their plight. Our target is to reduce emissions by 30%. For them, it is changing their entire business model. They are in the business of fossil fuel. And what we are discussing is to find an alternative to fossil fuel. Imagine the businesses who have to change themselves completely or perish. They have no choice. And when we talk to them and see that they are the ones who are leading the pack when it comes to adopting a new energy resource, it gives you that kind of encouragement, that sense of relief that others are facing much harsher challenge and are ready to take on that challenge and come triumph. And same is true of international cooperation. While it is good that we are targeting to find all solutions internally, there is no shame in interacting with those who have found the solution first. There would be trial and turbulence. I still remember about 15 years ago, I used to look after the Union territories in India. And I was looking at the Union territory of Lakshadweep and their power requirement. These islands are so tiny that you can't even have a proper power station at these places. And amongst the energy mix those days, we had these dams, especially Bhakra Nangal, which was our first major dam. It used to supply electricity at less than a rupee per unit. The old, coal-based power stations, they used to supply electricity at around 2.1 rupees. The newer thermal power stations were supplying at 4 per unit. The nuclear stations were supplying at around 6. And we had solar, which was just introduced, and solar was available at 8 rupees per unit. And though we thought that for Lakshadweep, solar would be the ideal power source, but the cost was so prohibitive that we could never thought that we would think of solar as a solution. And we ended up approving diesel power stations for Lakshadweep for 6 rupees a unit or 5 rupees a unit. In 10 years' time, 15 years' time, you now see solar as the cheapest power source available in India, thanks to only one thing, the volumes. The moment demand increased, the R&D became more intensive, photovoltaic cells became cheaper, and today, amongst all the energy mix that we have here in India, solar appears to be the most viable energy solution. We are worried today in terms of merchant navy because, as we discussed on day one, there are too many moving parts, and all of them need to be replaced, and we don't know which one to start with, and which technology would be the best possible technology, which would be the most optimum technology. It is true, we are passing through that phase, but the good thing is that we have accepted that challenge, and research is going on in all these respects simultaneously. There would be one winner. I have said this before, and I have no hesitation in again saying that this concept of multiple source of power for shipping would not be viable in the long run. Every source of power requires a lot of investment on the shore side, and to expect that the shore side will invest on 4 sources of power for your merchant fleet would be too much to ask. Today, if you imagine for the same kind of tonnage, there is one source, and the supply side, so far as the supplier is concerned, is catering to all the vessels using one source. If you have 4 sources catering to the same number of vessels, then for him, the demand comes to 1/4 of what the present demand is. It may not be financially viable for them to invest for 1/4 of the demand. So ultimately, amongst these competing technologies, one technology has to emerge as a winner, or maybe two technologies have to emerge as a winner so that it becomes financially viable. It provides the kind of scale that is required for improvement of efficiency, for increasing of, for reduction of costs. And once that happens, and I'm sure given the kind of inputs that we got in this 3-day conference, that day is not very far when we will come to a very fair conclusion as to what would be our preferred choice over the next 10 years or 15 years. If research of this kind is happening, and happening at the scale that we saw, we may end up, skipping our midterm target. We have been thinking that there will be a target for 2030. There is a debate now that instead of 2050, we should have a 2040 target, and then 2050 and 2070 target. I won't be very surprised if we skip at least one stage and we go, GHG neutral by 2050 or 2055. That appears to be a more viable option instead of, changing your technology every 10 years. Go for a long-term solution as early as possible. In terms of inputs